The sun was low in the sky, and the desert world of Rylith glowed in shades of gold and deep red. The wind carried a dry warmth, lifting small waves of sand that shimmered in the fading light. Far from the nearest settlement, a massive stone structure rose out of the ground like a mountain carved by careful hands. It was older than anything the settlers had ever seen. No one knew who built it or why, but everyone knew its name. They called it the tomb no one dared to open. For many years, people had told stories about it. Some said it was a resting place for alien kings. Others said it was a prison for something dangerous. A few claimed that it was not a tomb at all, but a gate to another world. No one agreed on the truth, but there was one thing all the stories had in common. They ended badly for anyone who tried to go inside. Rian had heard those stories since he was a child. Back then, he thought they were only tales meant to keep people away. But now, standing at the edge of the tomb shadow, he felt a strange mix of excitement and unease. The air here felt heavier, as if the land itself was holding its breath. Rian was a young archaeologist who had spent his life studying the ruins of human and alien civilizations. He had seen many strange places, but this one was different. The tomb was made from massive black stone blocks, each the size of a small house. The edges were smooth, as if they had been shaped by some powerful force. There were no cracks, no marks of time. Even the harsh desert winds had not worn it down. Behind him, his small team was unloading equipment from their transport. There was Dallin, a quiet engineer who preferred to work with machines rather than people. Beside him was Myra, a historian with sharp eyes and a quick mind. The last member was Torin, a strong and patient man who handled most of the heavy lifting. They had traveled together before, but never for something this mysterious. Rian walked slowly toward the massive stone entrance. It stood like a dark mouth in the wall of the tomb, tall enough for a starship to pass through. A faint carving ran along the sides, but the lines were too worn to read from a distance. He took out his scanner and began mapping the structure. The readings were strange. The stone was filled with traces of metal, something not common in normal construction. Even more curious, the scanner showed signs of energy deep within the tomb. Myra came to stand beside him. Her voice was low, as if afraid to speak too loudly here. "Do you think the stories are true?" she asked. Rian kept his eyes on the scanner. "Stories always have a beginning. Something must have happened here long ago. And if we can find out what, we will change history." Torin joined them, carrying a case of tools. "Or we will join the list of people who never came back," he said, half smiling but with a serious look in his eyes. Before Rian could answer, a slow sound of footsteps came from behind them. They turned to see an older woman walking toward them from across the sand. She was wrapped in a long desert cloak, her face partly hidden by a scarf. Her steps were steady, as if she had walked this path many times. When she reached them, she pulled down her scarf, revealing deep lines on her face and sharp eyes that seemed to see more than most. "You should not be here," she said simply. Rian studied her for a moment. "You know this place," he said. The woman nodded. "My name is Mara. My family has lived in this land for generations. I have heard the voices that speak here at night. I have seen lights move inside the tomb when there is no wind and no moon. My grandfather told me what happened when men from Earth came here many years ago. They entered the tomb with machines and weapons. None came back. The desert seemed quieter. After her words, even the wind had stilled. Myra frowned. "Why do you call it a tomb?" she asked. "Because something sleeps inside," Mara answered. "And when it wakes, it will not bring life. It will bring an end." Dallin glanced at Rian, clearly uneasy. "Maybe we should listen to her," he said, but Rian shook his head. "If your grandfather saw soldiers from Earth here, then this place is not alien. It is human. That means it is part of our history, and I cannot walk away from history. Mara's gaze was steady. History can be a warning. It can also be a trap. If you open what is meant to stay closed, you may find that the past is stronger than the present. With that, she turned and began walking back into the desert, her figure growing smaller against the endless sand. The team stood in silence for a moment. Torin was the first to speak. Well, that was not comforting. Rian finally put away the scanner. Fear will not stop us. We came here to learn the truth, and that is what we will do. Tomorrow we begin our study of the entrance. That night, they set up camp a short distance from the tomb. The air was still and warm, but a strange feeling lingered. As Rian lay in his tent, he thought he heard something faint, a whisper that seemed to rise from the stone itself. It was not in a language he knew, but the tone carried a sense of warning, like the distant echo of a voice trying to keep him away. He closed his eyes but could not sleep easily. Somewhere deep inside, beyond the stone walls and sealed doors, something waited. Whether it was a truth that would help humanity or a danger that would destroy it, he could not yet tell. But he knew one thing for certain. He would open the tomb. The first light of dawn painted the desert in soft gold. The air was cool, and the silence around the tomb felt heavier than the night before. Rian stepped out of his tent and looked toward the massive stone entrance. It stood unchanged, just as it had for centuries, but now it seemed to watch him, as if it knew he was here to challenge its secrets. The rest of the team soon joined him. Dallin was carrying a small drone, its rotors humming softly. Mira had a datapad in her hands, and Torin was already checking the heavy equipment. They ate a quick meal and began their work. Rian stood at the base of the entrance, running his hands over the carvings in the stone. The lines were deep and precise, not worn away by time. He traced one of the symbols with his fingers and felt a faint vibration. It was not the trembling of loose rock, but something alive, something hidden within. "This place is not dead," he said quietly. Myra looked up from her notes. "I think these carvings tell a story, but the language is old. It is not standard Earth script. Still, I can see patterns. This symbol repeats often. I think it means guardian." "Guardian," Dallin repeated. "That does not sound like something peaceful." Before Rian could answer, a shadow moved in the distance. They turned to see Mara approaching again, her steps steady, her cloak moving lightly in the wind. She carried a small pouch in her hand. Rian met her halfway. "You came back," he said. Mara's eyes were serious. "I came to give you this." She opened the pouch and pulled out a smooth piece of black stone. It was small enough to fit in her palm, but its surface shone like glass. Strange markings were carved into it, the same as those on the tomb's walls. "This was found by my grandfather near the tomb after the soldiers from Earth disappeared," she said. "He believed it was a key, but he never used it because he feared what it might open." Rian took the stone carefully. It felt warm, almost alive. "Why give this to me now?" he asked. "Because I can see you will not leave. And if you must open the tomb, I would rather you have a chance to survive. But know this, young one, keys do not only open doors, they can also lock them. Sometimes the hardest choice is not to enter, but to keep something sealed forever." Myra stepped closer. "Do you know what is inside?" she asked. Mara's eyes turned toward the dark entrance. "I know only what the old songs say. Long ago, before the colonies, before the great ships, humans fought among the stars. They built something here, something powerful, but it turned against them. The survivors sealed it away and left a guardian to watch over it until the end of time." Her voice grew softer, almost like a whisper. "If the guardian wakes, it will not let you leave. And if the weapon inside awakens, the stars themselves will burn." The team was silent. Even Torn, who often joked to break tension, said nothing. Rian looked down at the black stone in his hand. "If this is true, then the tomb is part of our history. And history is meant to be known, not hidden." Mara shook her head. "Some truths are not meant to be carried. They are too heavy, and they crush those who hold them." With that, she turned and began walking away again. The desert wind picked up, carrying her figure farther until she was only a small shape against the horizon. Dallin exhaled slowly. "She is making me want to leave this place right now." Rian looked at his team. "We came here to learn. If what she says is true, then there is something inside that could change everything we know about humanity. And if it is dangerous, then we need to understand it so no one else misuses it." They worked for the rest of the morning, scanning the outer walls and testing the stone key against small grooves and markings. In one place, the key fit perfectly into a carved slot, but nothing happened. Rian suspected it was part of a larger mechanism, one hidden deeper within. By midday, the heat became heavy, and they rested in the shade of the transport. Mira was going over her translations again when she froze. "Rian, look at this line," she said, showing him the screen. "It says something like, 'Only those of the blood may pass.' I'm not sure, but it might mean the tomb responds only to certain people." Torn frowned. "That sounds like trouble. What if none of us fit that rule?" Rian thought about it. "Then we find another way in." As the day faded into evening, the desert cooled, and the shadows of the tomb stretched long across the sand. They lit small lamps around the camp. The night was quiet at first, but soon a faint sound began to drift through the air. It was not the wind. It was a low hum, deep and steady, almost like the slow beat of a heart beneath the stone. Dallin switched on his scanner. "I am picking up energy again, stronger than yesterday, and it is moving, like it is flowing through the walls." Rian looked toward the entrance. The darkness seemed deeper now, and for a moment, he thought he saw a faint light flicker far inside, then vanish. Myra's voice was barely above a whisper. "Do you think the Guardian is real?" Rian did not answer. His eyes were fixed on the shadows inside the tomb. Something was there, and it was aware of them. That night, he dreamed of the tomb opening, of a figure made of light and metal stepping out, its voice like thunder. In the dream, it asked him why he had come. And when he could not answer, the ground shook and the sky burned. He woke before dawn, the black stone key still in his hand. He did not remember taking it to bed with him, but he did not put it down. Tomorrow, he told himself, they would try to find the true entrance. Whatever waited inside, he would see it with his own eyes. The next morning, the desert sky was pale blue, and the air was still cool before the heat of the day. Rian stood near the entrance of the tomb, staring at the massive dark stone. Today was the day they would try to move beyond the outer chamber. He felt a weight in his chest, a mix of excitement and caution. Dallin was checking the scanners. Mira was loading new data into her translation pad, and Torn was tightening the straps on a pack full of tools. The black stone key Mara had given them lay on a cloth beside Rian. Its surface seemed to drink in the sunlight rather than reflect it. "We start with the north wall," Rian said. "The carvings there are the clearest. If we can find a matching slot for the key, we might open the inner passage." They moved toward the left side of the entrance, where the wall sloped inward slightly. The carvings here were sharp and deep. Mira ran her fingers over the stone, whispering translations as she worked. "This line says, 'Those who guard sleep.' And here, it says, 'The hand of the maker will open the way.' That could mean the key needs a certain type of touch, or maybe a code." Rian placed the black stone key into a carved slot beneath the text. For a moment, nothing happened. Then a faint vibration passed through the wall. Dallon's scanner lit up with moving lines. "I am picking up a shift in energy," Dallon said. "It is flowing toward the center of the structure. Something is reacting." A deep sound echoed from inside the tomb. It was not loud, but it was heavy, as if the walls themselves were speaking in a slow, ancient voice. The vibration stopped after a few seconds, and silence returned. "That was not just stones settling," Torn muttered. They stepped back, unsure what had just happened. Rian's heart was racing. It means the key works. But it also means this place is not just a tomb. It is a machine. Mira looked at him sharply. "A machine that has been sleeping for centuries. We should be careful about waking it too." Fast, they decided to move inside the first chamber. The opening was wide, and the light from outside spilled into a large hall. The walls here were smooth, each stone block perfectly aligned with the next. In the center of the chamber stood a raised platform, circular in shape, with faint markings along the edge. Rian walked slowly around it, studying the floor. "No dust," he noticed aloud. "No sand inside either. That is not natural in a desert. Something keeps this place clean." Dallon pointed toward the far wall. "Look at that." Set into the stone was a large panel, not made of rock but of metal. It was dark and dull, but as they came closer, they could see a faint light moving under the surface. Like slow currents of energy. Rian placed his hand on it. The metal was cool, but there was a hum beneath it. "This is human design," he said. "Old human design. Look at the panel edges. The style matches ancient earth worship control walls I studied last year. But those were at least 5,000 years old." Myra's eyes widened. "Then this tomb is not alien at all. It is ours. Humanity built it." The thought settled over them like a shadow. If humans had made this place so long ago, what had they built it for? Torrance stepped closer to the panel. "If this is a control panel, maybe we can activate it." "Not yet," Rian said firmly. "We do not know what it controls." They spent the next hours recording every detail of the chamber. Myra's translations grew clearer. She found repeated warnings carved into the walls. "Do not wake the guardian. The weapon sleeps. Its hand will reach the stars again if freed." The words made Dallon uneasy. "This does not sound like a tomb for a king or a hero. This sounds like a prison for something dangerous." Rian agreed, but he also knew that understanding the danger was important. If humanity had faced such a threat in the past, knowing how they sealed it could help in the future. As the sun lowered outside, the team decided to rest and plan for the next step. They set up small lamps inside the chamber. The light made the carvings stand out more clearly. Myra noticed that some lines glowed faintly in the lamplight. "These are made with a different material," she said. "Something that responds to light. If we follow these glowing lines, they lead to that panel on the far wall." Rian followed them with his eyes. The glowing carvings twisted like a river, moving from the entrance toward the panel, as if guiding someone to it. Later that night, as they prepared to sleep, a strange sound came from deep inside the tomb. It was slow and metallic, like the turning of huge gears. The air felt heavier. Rian sat up and listened. The sound faded after a few moments, leaving the chamber silent again. Mira spoke softly from her bedroll. "I think the tomb knows we are here." Rian did not answer. He was staring at the panel, its faint inner light pulsing slowly, almost like the beat of a heart. Tomorrow they would try to open it. The sun had just risen when Rian stood before the strange metal panel in the inner chamber. The rest of the team gathered behind him, their faces showing a mix of excitement and caution. The faint glow inside the panel was stronger today, pulsing slowly like the steady beat of a heart. Dallon adjusted his scanner. The energy reading is much higher than yesterday. Whatever is in here is waking up. Mira tightened her grip on her datapad. We do not have to open it yet. We can study it more. This might be the only warning we get. But Rian shook his head. If this tomb was built by humans, then it holds knowledge we cannot ignore. We will be careful, but we have to see what is beyond this wall. Torrance set down a heavy tool bag. Just tell me where to start. Rian took the black stone key from his pocket. Its surface felt warm again, as if it had been waiting for this moment. He found a small depression at the center of the panel, just the right size for the stone. He pressed it in. The panel gave a low, deep hum. Lines of light spread outward from the stone, running across the wall like glowing veins. The chamber trembled slightly under their feet. Something is moving, Dallin said. Quickly, the glow reached the outer edges of the panel, then stopped. For a moment, nothing else happened. Then, from deep inside the tomb, came a sound unlike anything they had heard before. It was not just mechanical, not just a vibration. It was a voice, low, heavy, and layered with echoes, as if it came from the stones themselves. Who enters the place of sealing? The voice asked. The team froze. Myra's eyes widened. It speaks. Rian swallowed, but kept his voice steady. We are explorers. We came to learn what this place holds. The voice was silent for a moment, then spoke again. This place holds what should never be freed. Leave now, and your lives will remain your own. Torn whispered under his breath. I think Mara was right. Rian stepped closer to the panel. We are human, like those who built this place. We have a right to know our own past. The floor shook, harder this time. Dust drifted down from the ceiling. From the shadows at the far end of the chamber, something began to take shape. It stepped forward slowly, each step making the ground tremble. The guardian was not a statue, nor was it entirely machine. It stood twice the height of a man, its body made of smooth silver metal mixed with black stone, as if carved and forged together. Faint blue light glowed from deep within its chest and eyes. Its movements were slow but precise, every step deliberate. You are of the makers, it said, its voice now echoing from its form rather than the walls. But the law is clear. None shall pass. Rian stood his ground. Why was this place built? The guardian tilted its head slightly, the light in its eyes shifting. To protect the stars from the hand of the weapon. The war of your kind nearly ended all. This place is the lock. I am the key that guards it. Myra's voice was quiet. It is telling the truth. The carvings said the same. Rian took a deep breath. If we are facing threats now beyond what we can fight, should we not use what is inside to protect ourselves? The guardian's eyes flared brighter. The weapon cannot be used for defense alone. Once free, it will not return to sleep. It will obey no one. It will burn worlds until none remain. The air felt heavier with every word. Dallin's scanner beeped rapidly. Energy spike, big one. I think it is locking the chamber. The entrance behind them began to slide shut with a grinding sound. Torrance ran toward it but stopped when the guardian's gaze turned in his direction. Rian raised his hand slowly. We do not want to destroy. We want to understand. Understanding will come at the cost of all things, the guardian replied. Leave now, while there is still a path to leave. Rian looked back at his team. Myra's expression was tense. Dallin's eyes were locked on the scanner, and Torrance's hands were clenched. They were ready to follow his lead, but the decision weighed on him. The guardian stepped closer, its shadow falling across the team. Choose. Stay and be sealed, or go and live. The glow from the panel began to fade, as if the time to act was ending. Finally, Rian spoke. We will not leave yet. Not until we know what it is we are guarding. The guardian's head tilted again, almost like a sigh. Then the test begins. The floor beneath them shifted, and hidden doors in the walls opened to reveal narrow passages leading deeper into the tomb. The guardian turned away and began walking toward the nearest one. Follow if you wish. The path will decide if you are worthy. Rian glanced at his team. We go. They gathered their equipment and stepped into the dim corridor behind the guardian. The walls glowed faintly, guiding them deeper. The air was cooler here, and a low hum filled the space, like the slow breathing of something asleep. Somewhere far ahead, the weapon of the ancients waited. The corridor was long and narrow, the walls glowing faintly with pale blue lines. The hum of hidden machinery grew stronger as the team followed the guardian deeper into the tomb. None of them spoke for a while. The silence felt too heavy, and the footsteps of the guardian echoed like slow, distant thunder. Rian walked at the front, his eyes fixed on the guardian's broad back. Part of him was still cautious, but another part was burning with curiosity. If humanity had once created a weapon so powerful that it needed to be sealed away for thousands of years, then understanding it could change the balance of the galaxy. Finally, Torin broke the silence. I still think we should leave. We already know this thing inside is dangerous. The Guardian is not lying about that. Mira spoke without looking up from her datapad. If this weapon truly existed, it means humans once had technology far beyond what we use now. Imagine what we could learn from it. Dallin shook his head. Or imagine how quickly someone could misuse it. Whole planets gone in seconds. We would be handing a torch to a child in a room full of dry grass. The Guardian stopped suddenly. They had reached a vast circular chamber. The walls here were much taller, stretching upward until they vanished into darkness. Around the edges of the room, tall pillars stood like silent watchers. In the center of the floor was a wide circle of black stone, covered in fine carvings. The Guardian turned to face them. This is the Hall of Decision. All who come here must choose. Go forward, and the seal will weaken. Turn back, and the lock will remain strong. Your path will shape the fate of worlds. Rian stepped closer to the carvings on the floor. They seemed to move under the dim light, as if the patterns were alive. Mira crouched beside him and began tracing them with her fingers. These tell the story of the weapon, she said softly. It was not built in one place. It was made from many pieces across human worlds. When the war ended, they gathered the pieces here and joined them into one machine. Then they buried it and built the Guardian to keep it here forever. Torin crossed his arms. Sounds like a good plan. So why are we thinking of breaking it? Rian looked at him. Because if humans could build something like this once, it means they had the power to defend themselves against any threat. We live in a galaxy where stronger alien powers watch us. If war comes, we may not win. This could change that. Dallin frowned. It could also destroy us. If even one person decided to use it for power, no one could stop them. The Guardian's voice filled the chamber. Both paths are true. That is why you must choose. Those who sealed it away chose safety over strength. Those who seek it now may choose strength over safety. There is no middle path. The team fell silent. The weight of the decision pressed on all of them. Mira finally stood. If we turn back now, someone else will come one day and try to open it. Maybe they will not be careful. Maybe they will not care about the risk. At least we are here with our eyes open. Torin shook his head. And if we open it, maybe we become the ones who start the next great war. Do you want that on your hands? Rian took a slow breath. The universe is not safe. If we stay weak, we will always be at the mercy of those with greater power. This weapon was made by humans. It belongs to us. We have a right to know what it is and how it works. Dallin's voice was low. And when it turns on us, who will stop it? The Guardian stepped forward. its glowing eyes sweeping over them. The choice must be made soon. The tomb responds to your presence. The longer you remain, the closer the weapon comes to waking. Rian looked at the black stone key in his hand. It felt warmer than before, as if it too was waiting for an answer. His mind raced. He thought of Mara's warning, of the strange hum in the walls, of the carvings that spoke of destruction. He also thought of the alien fleets he had seen in the outer colonies, of the fear in the eyes of settlers when they spoke of raids and invasions. He turned to his team. I will not force anyone to stay. If you want to leave, you can, but I am going forward. Myra stepped to his side without hesitation. I am with you. Dallin hesitated, then sighed. If I leave, I will never stop wondering what happened. I will stay too, but I will keep saying this is a bad idea. They all looked at Torin. He rubbed his chin for a long moment, then shook his head. You are all going to regret this. But fine. I am not letting you walk into this without me. The Guardian's eyes brightened. The choice is made. The path will open. The floor beneath the black stone circle began to glow. The carvings shifted and twisted until they formed a spiral leading downward. A deep rumble filled the air. As the center of the floor sank slowly, revealing a wide passage lit by the same blue light as the walls, the Guardian stepped aside, allowing them to pass. Go and see the truth of what your kind has left behind. But remember, every step you take brings you closer to the point where turning back will no longer be possible. Rian gripped the black stone key tightly and led the way into the passage. The walls here were smooth and bright, and the hum of energy was stronger than ever. He could feel it in his bones now, a deep vibration that spoke of immense power waiting just ahead. Whatever lay at the end of this path, he knew it would change everything. The passage led them deeper into the earth. The walls were smooth and bright with the same blue light, but here the light seemed warmer. The hum in the air was stronger and steadier, like the slow beat of a great heart. No one spoke for a long time. Every step forward felt heavier, as if they were walking towards something that was watching them. Rian held the black stone key tightly. His mind was focused. This was the moment he had wanted since the journey began. Behind him, Mira was scanning the walls with her datapad, her eyes moving quickly over the readings. Dallin and Torin followed in silence, their faces tense. The Guardian moved ahead of them, its tall form gliding without sound. At last, the passage opened into a vast chamber. The ceiling rose high above, lost in shadow. The floor was made of the same black stone, polished so smooth it reflected the light like water. In the center of the room stood the weapon. It was not shaped like any machine they had seen before. It was a tall, curved structure made of silver and black metal, with glowing lines running along its surface. It seemed to be both solid and alive, the patterns on it shifting slowly, like the skin of some great living creature. Around its base were 6 large pillars, each with carvings in the old human script. The Guardian stopped at the edge of the floor. This is the core. The weapon sleeps, but it hears your steps. It knows you are here. Mira stepped closer, her eyes wide. This is not just a weapon. It is more than that. The readings are impossible. It is holding energy equal to 100 suns. Dallin swallowed hard. 100 suns. No wonder they buried it. Rian walked toward the core, his boots making soft sounds on the stone. The closer he came, the more he could feel the power in the air. It was like standing in a storm before the first lightning strike. Torin kept his distance. I have a bad feeling. This thing is not meant to be touched. The Guardian's voice was deep. You are correct. Once awakened, it will no longer return to sleep. It will answer only to the one who opens it, and its purpose will follow its master's will. Rian turned to the Guardian. What is its purpose? The Guardian's glowing eyes fixed on him. It was made during the last war between humans and the enemy you call the Devourers. They came from beyond the edge of the galaxy, destroying worlds and burning stars. Your ancestors built the core to end them. It did, but in the end, they saw that no power should remain that could destroy so much. They sealed it here. Mira stepped closer to read the carvings on one of the pillars. Her voice was low as she translated. It says, "We lay down the sword so the world may live." May no hand lift it again without the weight of all our dead upon their heart. The words echoed in the quiet. No one spoke for a long time. Finally, Rian said, "The Devourers are gone. But the galaxy is not safe. Other powers rise, and humans are scattered and weak. If we had this, we could unite our people. No one could threaten us again." Dallin shook his head. "Or we could become the new threat. Do you think others will just watch us take this and smile? They will come for it. And they will not stop until they have it or it is gone." The Guardian stepped forward. "The choice is still yours. The key in your hand will open the core. But once opened, the core will bind to you. It will not serve another unless you are gone. If your heart is strong, it may be used for great good. If your heart falters, it may become the end of all." Rian looked down at the black stone key. It was warm now, almost hot. It pulsed with the same rhythm as the hum in the air. Myra looked at him. "You will carry the burden. Forever." Rian nodded slowly. "I know." He stepped to the base of the core. A small hollow appeared in the metal, as if the weapon itself had shaped it for the key. The black stone key seemed to pull toward it, as if it wanted to return to its place. Torin took a step forward. "Think before you do this. Once you start, there is no going back." Rian hesitated. He thought of the colonies he had seen, small and fragile. He thought of the fleets of alien empires, their weapons shining in the void. He thought of the stories of the Devourers and how close humanity had come to being nothing but a memory. Slowly, he placed the key into the hollow. The chamber shook. Light rushed up the core in bright streams, the patterns on its surface moving faster. A deep, low sound filled the air, like the breath of a giant waking from a long sleep. The 6 pillars began to glow, the carvings shining with golden light. The Guardian stepped back. "It has begun." The core's glow grew brighter until the whole chamber was bathed in light. Rian could feel the energy pressing against his skin, his mind filling with images, stars collapsing, fleets burning, whole worlds shining like embers in the dark. He could also feel something else, a quiet voice deep inside, waiting for his command. Then the light dimmed slightly. The core stood silent again, but now the lines on its surface moved with a slow pulse. Matching Rian's heartbeat, the Guardian bowed its head. "It is done. The core is bound to you, Rian of Earth." Rian stepped back, his breathing heavy. He could still feel the power inside him, as if the core was now a part of him. Dallin looked at him with worry. "Now what?" Rian's eyes were steady. "Now, we decide how to use it." The chamber was still glowing faintly when the ground shook again. This time, it was not from the core. A deep rumble came from far above, growing louder. Dust fell from the high ceiling. The Guardian raised its head sharply. "They are here," it said. Rian turned. "Who is here?" The Guardian's voice was firm. "The ones who followed you. They are close. They have broken the outer gate." Dallin's hand went to his weapon. "I told you they would come." Myra's face was pale. "We cannot fight a whole strike team. They must have tracked us from the surface." Torin moved to the edge of the chamber. "I will check the passage." Before he could leave, the first blast shook the walls. A roar of energy echoed through the tunnels. The blue light along the passageway flickered. The Guardian stepped between them and the door. "You Cannot outrun them now. They will be here in minutes. You must choose. Rian looked at the core. The golden lines on its surface were slow and steady. He could still feel its presence in his mind, waiting for his thoughts. Dallin spoke quickly. We can seal the door and make a stand. Maybe they will give up if we hold long enough. Mira shook her head. You know they will not stop. If they take the core, they will use it for war. We will lose everything. Another blast tore through the passage. The air grew hot. The sound of boots striking stone came closer. The guardian's voice was calm. The core will answer only you, Rian of Earth. If you command it, it will protect you. But its touch will not be gentle. Once you use its power, the galaxy will know it has awakened. Rian's hands tightened into fists. His heart pounded. If I use it now, how much will it do? The guardian's glowing eyes narrowed. Enough to stop them. Enough to stop many more. The sound of shouting and metal clashing echoed down the passage. A group of armored figures appeared in the doorway, weapons raised. They wore the red and silver of the Keth Dominion. Their leader stepped forward, his voice cold. You have found the core. Good. Now hand it over. You will live if you obey. Dallin aimed his rifle. They are not here to talk. The leaders. Visor gleamed in the light. You think you can stop us? Your little weapons are nothing compared to ours. Give us the key. Rian stepped forward slowly. His eyes were steady. It is already too late. The core belongs to me now. The leader laughed. Then you will be the first to die. He raised his weapon. Rian closed his eyes. The hum in the air grew louder. The core's glow flared brighter, answering his thought. In his mind, he saw a web of light stretching from the core to the walls, the floor, the very air around them. When he opened his eyes, the core pulsed once. A wave of golden light rushed outward, filling the chamber in an instant. It passed through Rian and his team without harm, but when it struck the Kef soldiers, their weapons went dark. The red glow on their armor faded. One by one, they fell to their knees, unable to move. The leader struggled to stand, his voice furious. What have you done? Rian's voice was calm. I told it to stop you, and it has. The guardian stepped forward. The core has read your will. Its strike was measured. It could have ended them all. You chose to let them live. Mira let out a breath she had been holding. You could have destroyed them, Rian. Rian looked at the fallen soldiers. Killing them would start a war before we even leave this place. I will not give the galaxy a reason to fear us. Not yet. Dallin walked over to the leader and took his communicator. We should go before more come. The guardian's voice was deep. The core will travel with you, but it cannot be hidden. From those who know its signal, they will search for you. This was only the first test. Torrhen stepped closer to Rian. You have power now, but power always draws enemies. If you do not plan your steps, you will be crushed under its weight. Rian nodded slowly. I know, but we will not hide. We will use it to protect our people. If they come for us, they will see we are not weak anymore. The guardian moved toward the core. Then you must learn to speak its language. It will not always understand the words of your mouth. It listens to the voice of your heart. Rian glanced at Mira, Dallin, and Torrhen. Then I will learn, and we will be ready. The core pulsed again, a low and steady light filling the chamber. The hum in the air felt warmer now, like the promise of a storm that had not yet broken. Far above, in the shadow of the mountains, new ships were already descending through the clouds. The first battle was over, but the war for the core had only begun.